This just in, breaking news. It's what everybody's talking about, and it's impacting people around the globe. The world premiere of Gals, Gays, and Theys here at ModPod Studio. ModPod Studio Live presents. Woohoo! Oh, this has been a long time in the making. I am so excited. I'm about to bounce off the walls. Thank you all for being here. Right away, let's get right into it. What is Gals, Gays, and Theys? Gals, Gays, and Theys is a 3-hour, bi-weekly, interactive live stream dedicated to providing a safe, diverse, and inclusive space for the LGBTQIA+ community, allies, loved ones, and really anybody who's ever felt marginalized. I mean, I'm sure, is this his most popular video he's ever put out?
I believe so. I mean, he's a part of the Hype House, so that comes with, you know,
a lot of energy.
A lot of fame and, you know, their Netflix show, and so there is a lot of attention on him and them. And, you know, when this story came out, the fact that he didn't kind of come out about it, there was a lot of backlash on him.
Mm-hmm.
The abuser posted videos about it, kind of attacking him and blaming him for not responding, and we'll get into that too, on why these victims aren't coming forward right away.
Right.
And there is a reason, right?
And specifically, we're talking about male victims of sexual assault.
Yes.
And in this case, this young man is alleging that a TikTok star that he spends a lot of time with or was around a lot had sort of touched him inappropriately when he was passed out,
Mm-hmm.
had taken her clothes off and jumped on top of him, even though he protested it.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point unlocked a bathroom door that he was
While
in.
he was showering.
And maybe that was the point where it had gone too far. But according to his side of the story, well, we actually have an asset that kind of explains a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Why don't we play that? Why don't we show? This is from a Brandon Q, right?
Yeah, he's
Mm-hmm.
a TikToker who, you know, addressed it, addressing why Jack didn't come forward right away, and addressing the abuser's TikTok videos of her addressing as well.
All right, let's take a look.
Jack, if you really feel like I sexually assaulted you, why didn't you report me? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you come out with these claims months ago? Why didn't you stop hanging out with me every day? Why didn't you say anything till now?
I told myself I wasn't going to speak on this because of how young they are and the things that have been going on, but I've seen so many videos about this couple. If you don't know who this is Sienna May talking about Jack Wright. They're both very young. They're both very high up TikTokers. They both have very large accounts, and there's a lot of things being said right now. Not that long ago, Jack posted saying that Sienna had sexually assaulted him, or that he had been sexually assaulted. Since then, I have seen several videos from Sienna. I have seen 14-part explanations and trying to right the situation. I have seen her YouTube video. I have watched everything. And meanwhile, Jack has been silent. And I can see now why he was silent. As a man who's been sexually assaulted before and know that nobody would believe him when he said it, because anybody else would have said, oh, you're lucky to have had.
Wow. Yeah,
It's a lot.
that is. Yeah, and I'm glad that we threw up that trigger warning. And apologies to anybody out there who, you know, and sorry for anybody out there who's triggered by this kind of content, because it's so sensitive and it definitely touches a nerve. There's a lot to unpack here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, we should always say that, you know, we are here not as legal experts and not as any kind of experts in the media. Mm-hmm. And this is part of media. And so we're analyzing it a bit. But, you know, we aren't doctors or lawyers or anything like that. So these are just our opinions. Parents in Texas were stunned to find out that not everyone is born straight and not everyone's born white.
What?
I know, it's stunning. And they don't want us to read any books that might have characters that aren't straight and white, I guess. I am, of course, paraphrasing. But the list, it's just, when you look at the books that are on this list, the 50 at least that we've seen so far, it's so obvious that the people that are upset about this have just they're afraid. It's fear-based, fear of the unknown. Make a gay friend. Like, honestly, we're not that scary.
Watch our show.
Yeah. If you're worried don't have your kids watch and they're too young. I mean, I don't want to, but why not?
Yeah. Hey.
That's your choice. But I think that this idea of banning books and then to see what the parents wrote on the requests, I loved this. This was NBC reporting, by the way, this 50 banned books article. Yeah. And just to see, like, you know, like the one that was, we shouldn't be exposing our kids to things like, you know, that are controversial, like gambling and
Yeah, like
What it was? It
It
something,
was like gambling.
It was like 3 bad things, and then homosexuality, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, like how does homosexuality fit in
Yeah.
with that at all? And
And
but I think the quotes were so important
Mm-hmm.
because it really does show that they have no understanding of what like being gay actually is.
Exactly. It's all about sex to everybody. Oh, why are you talking about
and-
sex?
Yeah.
And then this idea that you can make people gay. Like that's the other thing that is like on the back of people's minds that they're not saying is, oh, if my kindergartner hears about, someone's gay parents at kindergarten, at school, they might come out and be gay.
Chances are they are.
They're going to be gay if they're
Yeah.
going to be gay, and they're going to be straight if they're going to be straight, they're going to be somewhere in between, which is probably where most people are these days. I mean, the fact of the
spectrum.
matter is language is limiting. There aren't enough words for all the things we are. I don't know. I mean, yeah, between gay and straight, I'm definitely gayer than straight. You're sometimes what I love about you is that you kind of paint with all the colors of the wind, like Disney's Pocahontas. You are very comfortable in your skin these days with the whole range of expression in terms of like male, female, masculine, feminine. I love that about you. I'm trying to get better at that. I used to want so much to be a dude, and like. My mom's probably laughing. She's like, really? When was that? Okay, that's pretty sad that wasn't the laugh track. That was funny enough. How do you heal how do you recover from something when you do still want, it's like trying to learn how to not be an alcoholic but still drink. How would you do that with sex? How do you learn how to not be a sex addict but still have meaningful sex?
And I do think that some people can be alcoholics and learn to use alcohol in a healthy way as well. And for me, I mean, it was about recognizing the pattern, being honest about it, knowing that the addiction started as a method of trying to escape something and trying to address those things I was trying to run from in a healthy way, which I did that, as I said, through therapy, through 12-step, through journaling, through writing. And I did something called the Hoffman process too, which was a big part of my recovery, which is all about patterns. And I think you have to step away for a while. So, I had to stop watching porn for a while. I stopped sleeping around, all of the kind of things that I was used to doing that had become my regular habits. I had to replace those with healthier habits. And I tried a lot of different ways. Some people go to 12-step and then they think, this is the way out. But for me, it was a combination of efforts. 12-step in addition to a lot of different things.
It's what it takes. I mean, if you talk to most people who have had successful recovery, it isn't just one thing. They need to surround themselves with support, get into the program, get in the middle of the herd, as they say. I think people will be surprised to know that a lot of people will be surprised to know that there's a 12-step recovery program for sex addiction, sex and love addiction, right? Is it referred to as SLA or SLAA?
There's SLAA and then there's SAA.
And it must be that, is there a guide, like you said, of course you change the behavior. Part of any recovery program is this rigorous honesty, this turning to yourself and saying, I know what's happening. You're the only person that can do that. How do you get the strength to do it? I think that's what she was saying about rock bottom, is sometimes the strength comes from the memory of that god-awful moment. But with something like sex, where you still want to be sexual in a healthy way, how do you get to that point where, or for other people out there that might feel like they're struggling, what are the telltale signs that you're not handling your sex life in a healthy way, that maybe this is an addiction for you?
Well, I think everybody will have their own interpretation of what is healthy sex and unhealthy sex. And I am in no position to say, like, if you watch 20 hours of porn a week, then you're a porn addict. Because I think that, if somebody just has a voracious appetite for porn, they can do that. And that's fine, if it's not hurting them and hurting their relationships. For me, I found that sex was something that I just needed to do to run away from things. And I also didn't know how to have relationships that were outside of the sexual kind. And that was a huge part for me, was just feeling so intensely lonely, even though I was having sex with lots of people and having these sort of like very casual, loose relationships. I didn't know how to have something deeper than that. And I really craved that sort of intimacy. And it's weird to be completely lonely when you're in bed with somebody. And that was just a regular fixture of my life. And I started to neglect friendships, family members, work. It was all about just, finding the person or finding the perfect porn clip to kind of get me to the next intense, orgasm or whatever it was I was looking for. And then I was just back on that ride again. It's just this continuous loop without ever feeling fully satisfied. And I just, had to think there has to be more than this. I have to feel more connected to people. I have to feel, less ashamed and, just more alive.
I want to talk about this because I do believe one of my purposes on this planet is to be an advocate for mental health, and talking about it is the best thing I think you can do, especially if you feel like you're in a safe place like I do right now. So
Good.
So yesterday was a bad day. I started the morning pretty regularly, and my anxiety just got to a point of paralysis, which has happened to me. I've struggled with anxiety, extreme anxiety, my whole life, and depression as well. And honestly, I've learned to live with anxiety pretty well. I am medicated as well. But sometimes it gets to a point where it affects my day-to-day. And that is something I really don't like about it. And something I struggle with. So yesterday when it got to a point where I was like, I cannot drive a car, it was really scary. One, I was by myself. But what I'm really thankful for, is that I have an employer who I'm able to tell how I'm feeling and not have to worry about backlash or worry about losing my job, because I know that there's a lot of people that wouldn't be able to text their boss like I'm having a mental health crisis, I cannot work. That's scary. But I told JD, and you were very understanding and just supportive, and there was no stress. But my anxiety started to get worse because the idea of letting my mental health affect someone else's day absolutely destroys me. I am a people pleaser. So it is hard, and it affects, and I kept thinking, I was sitting there, who am I affecting today? I'm going through the list of all these people whose work had to halt because of me. And then I took a step back and I was like, why? I'm letting my anxiety get worse because I'm anxious over how I'm affecting other people. And the first thought in my head is not, how do I help myself?
Right.
And this is why I kind of want to bring it up, because everyone should put themselves first. And if I was to try to get in the car and drive for the sake of other people and letting people down, who knows what would have happened if I tried to drive, or if I got here and had an even worse anxiety attack. I don't know. But I made the decision to listen to my gut and stay put. And that was really, really hard for me to do. But I took a mental health day, and it was great, and I feel better today. I'm still anxious, but I'm moving forward, and I know that if anyone needs to take a day, it's okay to take a day. It's okay to take 2 days. It's okay to put yourself first and not be afraid of letting other people down. I don't think it's bad to necessarily feel like you don't want to let people down overall. It's good that I didn't want to let you down or let the LA Taco people down yesterday. But to let it get in the way of bettering myself and my health, I think that's taking it too far. So, yeah,
I'm
that's kind
so
of my...
proud. I'm wait. You know me, I like to talk. So I'm I want you to feel heard. I want you to feel seen.
Yeah.
And I was also getting a little emotional, so I wanted to wait till my voice stabilized. There's nothing more important than your health.
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing God's work here. I mean, let's be honest, but we're not saving any lives. We love our clients, we love everybody, but at the end of the day, there's nothing more important than taking care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, how can you take care of anybody else?
Yeah.
I would really be sad if you came and experienced a harder health day than you were already having.
Right.
It's so powerful what you're doing too. And the fact that you can share such a private, intimate thing, you're such a hero to me. I freaking love you. And I'm giving you some applause. And there's an awe in there and some magic.
Thank you.
Because you're an extraordinary person, Mariah. And also, when you live your life the way that you do, with such integrity and such dependability, and it only puts someone in our in our professional relationship at ease to not at ease, but I was heartbroken for you, knowing that whatever it was serious.
Yeah.
And I know you. I know that you're not missing work if you don't need to. And you're right. People do need mental health. Mental health is health.
Yeah.
Like all of us have, ankles and knees, and if you break those, you need to go to the hospital. But you have brains and hearts and souls too, and sometimes those get damaged. And I'm just so proud of you for taking the having the agency to do that, because I know you're working on the people pleasing. We all are.
Yeah.
We're all trying to be.
Girl, took me decades to get out of people pleasing, and I still am, because when I matured to get out of that, I became a mom, which puts you right back into a people pleasing mode, because you've got two little humans who want what they want, and you want to give them what they want. But it is hard. A mental health day, unfortunately, people call it a mental health day. It should just be called like what you call a sick day or a sick leave, or like we shouldn't even feel obligated to well, really legally you shouldn't have to.
Right.
You shouldn't have to say what kind of day it was for you. It could, I mean, why would we, if someone broke their leg, you wouldn't even think twice about it. But a mental health day could be even more debilitating and paralyzing, especially to function. I could go to work with crutches and still be able to function. But if I'm having a mental health situation, it can be so debilitating.
It's also like there is so much. This is so going to be a topic for the next several years. I mean, it's a critically important thing all the time. But coming out of the pandemic, people have been challenged in ways that they've never been challenged.
Right.
I in some ways, it's maybe a good thing. Like I know personally, having lost a lot during the pandemic, it shakes your identity to a point where I had a couple of moments where I was just fully like, laying on the floor in the closet crying. That's just the truth. I mean, I privately, like I take moments to myself sometimes that it's just, hopefully you learn over time that bottling things up inside and not processing them and not dealing with them is a perfect recipe for a continued problems. Like the longer you keep things inside, the unhealthier you are. And for some people, like this guy, it blows up as anger or something. For you,
Right.
you get even more anxious maybe, or, it's
Definitely. I mean, and I know so many people can relate. Growing up, I mean, there was a point when I was like, am I the only one whose family doesn't talk? And then I get older and I'm like, oh, we all experienced a lot of us did experience growing up in a family or in a community or society where talking about emotions was a weakness. Therapy was a weakness. Medication, that would be the last thing that my family, and like I love my family so much, but it is a societal brainwashing that they experienced, and they just thought medication means something bad. And so it took me forever.
They would
to
never
get
say that
medicated.
about insulin to a
I know.
diabetic, which I never
I know.
get that. But okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we love your family. I know, but
Yes,
it's not
they're
just your
amazing,
family. It's families
but-
all over the country and
Right.
all over the world.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And they also have been going through the learning process too. So, but yeah, that's another thing. Might as well just be honest about this too. I have been on and off of medication for a few years now, and I just recently started again. So I know that has probably a lot to do with my fluctuating emotions and anxiety and depression and stuff. So I am on a journey, and if anyone else out there is too, then I'm with you, because I'm going through it.
And you knew when you're okay with me talking about this a little bit.
100%.
You do things properly. You're talking to your medical team and your doctors, and there's concern sometimes when you get back onto a medication, there's a transitional period, and it can come with some complicated side effects that exacerbate the very problem that they're meant to fix. But you knew that, and it was like a little bit of like, get out of jail free card, right? Talk about that, because I think that was helpful.
When I came to you,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just feel, and this show has helped me become more transparent. I kind of did a full 360 because I used to just be like, I would never tell an employer of mine or people I work with that I'm struggling, because that in my head was just the most unprofessional thing you can do. But in actuality, it's the smartest thing you can do, to tell. And I just hope that people feel comfortable telling their employers. If not, hopefully there's someone at your job that you can tell, or a friend. But I came to you, JD, and basically was like, just a heads up, I want to be transparent. I started my medications again, and I'm probably going to be going through a fluctuating period of time, probably 2 weeks, which is common, which is expected. And less than a week later was yesterday, right? Or a week, I guess.
But since you knew that yesterday in the peak of it.
Right. Yeah, so yesterday, you're right. So when I was going through a really hard part, what helped me yesterday was knowing that I'm probably feeling this intense anxiety because of my medication. So, and a lot of people with anxiety understand this, like, if there's not an answer to why you're feeling that way, it makes it so much worse.
Totally.
I mean, if you're feeling like you're gonna die and there's no reason why, it just makes it go over and over in your head. So I kept telling myself, this is okay, like, I'm just gonna have to feel it. That was another thing I wanted to say, was it's okay, because I used to be so afraid of feeling, but sometimes you just gotta feel it, and you gotta go through it. You just gotta sit there.
You're saying so many smart things that's going to help so many people.
Thank you.
The fastest way is through. It is through.
And I did it. I did that. I sat there and I was like, I'm going to feel anxious today. That's okay. And it honestly helped the anxiety go way faster. I think that's why I'm functioning today. I think that's why I'm able to, do this.
I'm so happy because you're so brave for what you're doing right now. But I'm also like, as somebody who really cares about you, I'm very concerned for your health, and I want to make sure that I'm providing the best environment for you to be your best self. And yeah, we are not, I always say this, we're not transplanting baby hearts here.
Right.
No one's going to die if this live stream doesn't make it. I knew today's live stream. This might not have happened right now, and I was fine with that too. It's also, there's this power in taking the agency to do what is right for your health. You learn to trust yourself a little more, that you are going to put yourself first and you're going to love yourself. We talk about self-love here all the time because I think we kind of agree, right? Self-love is lacking in the world, and it is the missing ingredient to really righting a lot of the wrongs I think that are happening. There's age appropriate ways of teaching all kinds of different content. But the facts is if anything that can be said about heterosexual love, heterosexuality, even if it's, not directly, but like you're referencing my wife or, any of that's appropriate is appropriate for same-sex couples as well. If I was a school teacher, which I used to be, at the time it was a long time ago, so like 2 decades ago, so I wasn't really out then. But if I was referencing my husband, I would say my husband.
Yeah.
And a kid could be like, oh, boys can have a husband? And I'm like, yeah, actually a lot of them do.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And totally human and totally normal. And people need to get their heads out of their butts and stop using archaic language in the Bible that has been misinterpreted over and over and over for millennials to support bigotry and hatred. That is not what Jesus wanted. And I will get into more religious talk soon because people probably are surprised to find out sometimes that I'm religious, that I go to church, and then I have a beautiful, loving, gay, celebrating church that I go to, and there are hundreds of them all over the country. So if you're watching this and you feel that connection or that need, blow me up. I will tell you where to go. newabbey.org. You can stream on Sundays at 10. I just feel like it all comes back to that.
Yeah.
Like this, at the end of the day, all the anti-gay crap that's still left over in the United States stems from people's misunderstanding, misguided, sometimes good intentions. Like they just want to follow the Bible, but you're doing so blindly in a way that cherry picks what is and isn't okay. Like, of course, it's going to be easy to say homosexuality is a sin when you are not homosexual. What a really easy commandment to follow, right? But the truth is it's not. People's sexual orientations are part of your identity, which is who you are. It is as innate as your taste buds, your eye color, or which hand you write with. These are not things that we choose. They are just facts. And for as long as people have been on the planet, gay people have been here, thank God we're finally out of the shadows now because we're coming along. But I really am going to keep hitting this note about if you are using the Bible to defend your homophobia, you are wrong. The state of Florida has now officially made the bill 1557, what has been deemed the Don't Say Gay bill. Parental Rights and Education is the actual name. It's been signed into law by Governor DeSantis, and we really want to talk about this here at GGT because, and I'm going to try to stay cool. I'm going to try to stay calm and like respond and not react because sometimes I get loud and yelly whenever I'm really passionate about something. But I want to just talk about what it feels like for me, like a gay person. I was a school teacher. I was a gay little boy, and what it feels like to me, and I want to hear from you as well, what it feels like for a gay bisexual girl to think you couldn't have talked about it, those feelings. You couldn't have brought them up with your teacher. A lot of times, so let's back up for a second. So I want to make sure people understand the bill. I don't want to just dig into the debate and the analysis too quick. Basically, the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida is a piece of legislation that was brought up by a state senate or state senator, and it's supposed to protect a parent's right to sort of understand exactly what their kids are being taught in school, which on the surface sounds great. Like parents, great. You want to be able to sign off on the education that your kids are having in school. The parenting, this is the big point that they're making. The parenting doesn't stop when the kids get on the school bus or when the kids get to school. You get to continue to parent. I don't think anybody's arguing any of that. But what this bill does is it makes it illegal for teachers to have any discussion or class curriculum around gender identity or sexual orientation between the ages of kindergarten and third grade, and then less specifically, all public education school ages are going to be limited to the degree, and this is where the law gets really vague. The exact language is, I'm going to use it because it's so vague that it's going to have a chilling effect. Something along the lines of, and through all grades, only when it's age appropriate. And it's just vague. So why this matters to so many people, why this became a lightning rod in the United States and around the globe is because so I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the people who wanted this law. We just want to protect our kids. You can hear the conversation, right? We just want to make sure that, rogue teachers aren't out there and they'll use this language trying to indoctrinate or push their social agenda onto children. And this is why that's their perspective. I mean, some of the language is, it says Democrats and conservatives are both coming out big. Tim Carney, a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, he's criticized the media, he supports this bill, for peddling a false story that the Florida bill prohibits discussion of sexual orientation. But then, literally, in fact, the first page of the bill's text states that the purpose is prohibiting classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels or in a specified manner. So let's just unpack this a little bit. And we talk about this all the time, Mariah. If you're coming from a place, you have to, in my opinion, people need to come from a place where they stop thinking that everyone is born straight.
Yes.
Or born heterosexual.
There's no default sexuality.
There is no default sexuality. Your kids, so for this bill, like the people who are for it, who are so offended by the way that it's been dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill, coming out in droves saying it never says anything. It doesn't even use the word gay in the whole bill. But when you state that you cannot have discussions around gender identity or sexual orientation, do they mean heterosexuals? I mean, if this is not about gay people or about LGBTQ plus people or something other than heterosexuality, we have to apply this. The state of Florida has just passed a law that says you can't talk about boys and girls. Those are gender identities.
Yeah, so we're just going to completely delete gender from the classroom. Let's see them do that.
And in doing that, they're saying, oh, we have to legislate this because we don't want they say they don't want to indoctrinate. Like if you think that teaching people that gay people exist and that is part of the reality of the earth, if you're starting places that your kids are going to be convinced to be gay, we have to, it's just laughable. Like, you have to stop, rewind, and start at a new place. The new place, we hope, is that gender identity and sexual orientation are hardwired, much like whether you're right-handed or left-handed. I like to use this example a lot because the vast majority of people are right-handed, but a considerable percentage are left-handed. And as far as I know, neither one should be entitled to more rights, should be entitled to less respect. We should not try to avoid talking about left-handed people from kindergarten through, unless you're not going to talk about being able to write at all.
Oh, you can't talk about Asian people at all in school because we don't talk about Asians. Because we don't want them to think that they can become Asian.
Exactly.
It's like,
you can't become Asian. I mean, you can have more Asian in you from time to time. We are all for adults here. So yeah, let's talk about things in those terms, because that is the bill passed, down party lines, which that's its own debate. Like, if you continue to put legislation through that continues to show every single Republican against the gay community is really, I've been trying to make this argument for so long because so many of my friends are Republicans and love gay people. There's a huge population of people who are fiscally conservative or policy-wise in terms of finance and business, but socially much more progressive. And there's no place for them. And there's no place for me in the Republican Party if you're passing laws that are denying the existence of gay people. Like, that is, at the end of the day, what this law does is it makes it illegal for educators in Florida to talk about sexual orientation or discuss gender identity for these school-age children. And that in and of itself is suggesting that there's something wrong about it, that there's some reason to protect children from a discussion about gay, straight, if this law isn't the Don't Say Gay law, like some people want to say, and they're saying, no, this is just about advocating for parents' rights, and the state of Florida has decided they don't want teachers to teach about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grades. Well, that goes for all people then. That means that when you're what happens if your assignment for a second grader is to draw out your family tree? And this is your mom and your dad, or for some students, it will be their mom and other mom. And then what happens at that point? Do you just stop discussing? Or, by the way, when Sally just brought up her mom and dad, should we stop discussing that? What if a kid is like, well, a kid raised by homosexual parents might be curious that there's the possibility of having a male and a man and a woman. Exactly. I know it's hard for people to wrap their heads around, but the fact is not everybody is the same. And so it would limit those discussions as well. It would stop you from educating kids. And the whole thing is that people on some level believe that your sexual orientation is a trend or a fad, or it's something that you can just choose. And if you keep believing that and you keep passing laws, what you inevitably do is you're hurting the people whose very real lives have already been marginalized by the fact that they were born this way. And so to limit any discussion or education in a place where, by the way, a lot of times schools are a refuge for children who are living in difficult situations at home. Not everybody is being raised by great parents. A lot of times the principal at your school, a counselor at your school, a teacher at your school is the one place where that little girl, that little boy, or that little person in between can say, I feel different, but I'm scared at home because my parents, they're, abusive or something. Now, the law does make some stipulations that if a teacher thinks that a child is being abused, because one of the other, that they don't have to do it, but that was specifically with regards to a change in their status. One of the other places the bill is really vague is that the school and teachers must notify parents if there has been some change to the mental, physical, health of the child. And so read in a very literal way, that could mean if a child felt safe enough to come out to a counselor at school, but wasn't out at home, that they would be required legally to out them.
And if they didn't
parents.
do that, they would be in trouble and possibly lose their job.
And sued for a limitless amount of times from people that don't even have any skin in the game.
I don't understand why the harm of the children isn't being discussed.
Right.
The harm of the LGBTQ plus youth
Exactly.
community. I mean, we already have extremely high suicidal rates in the community. And one of the leading causes is that I can't go home and be myself. And it's not necessarily leading to suicide, but suicidal thoughts is more so like what we're talking about here. But
marginalization. It is literally these children, the ones in this, the gay kids and the straight kids and everyone in between, and the teachers. Anytime you make a law that prohibits the instruction of something, it is saying something about that it's about that topic. I agree. There's age appropriate times to talk about specific things like, sexual intercourse and the reproduction cycle and things like that. But moms and dads, boys and girls, I mean, little kids understand gender. And if you make it illegal to basically, you're just saying only heterosexuality norms can be talked about. Only things that are, culturally the majority can be talked about. Right. That the ways in which people are marginalized are different is so bad and so shameful that we can't even talk to children up to age 8 about it, because third graders are 8, 9 years old now. And it's
kids, they understand gender. I'm telling you, from the day that you have that gender reveal party with the blue or the pink, which I despise.
Which also lead to massive fires in SoCal.
You have decided before your child is born that you're going to push a heteronormative society onto them. And that's just kind of what most people do without even thinking about it. I'm not saying that these people are bad. It's just...
No, I get it.
You tend to some people tend to fall in this specific way or a line. And these kids at 3, you're showing them Cinderella. You're showing them all these things. They've already understood that there's girls and boys and there's this gender norm. They already know that before they get to kindergarten.
And school lessons from ages kindergarten through 3rd grade are filled with examples of heteronormativity that are used in those lessons. From, if Jane's mom and dad do this, and, they just, the assumption is always that people are, and then that just makes it that much harder to dig yourself out of that place of marginalization.
Ooh,
it is deep.
It's
difficult.
I mean, it's such a hard thing to discuss. Also, I want to note that a lot of the arguments I've heard are sex has no place in a kindergarten classroom. Like who's talking about? Are they standing up there going, a man and another man, one likes to be here and the other likes to be here,
right?
And that's not happening. Also, even if it did, I might be one of the only people that thinks this, but I don't think there's an issue with talking about sex to kids. I just don't see the issue with that personally. I don't think that there's an issue with talking about biology at a young age. But that has nothing to do with this. That has nothing to do with the bill.
Agree.
And that a lot of people are making that argument of why are you talking about sex to our kids? That's not what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's not what the point is.
If you can't talk about sexual orientation, you can't talk about love.
Right.
And who you love, that's really what it comes down to. What kind of person do you love? It's just it's very thinly guised, but the real purpose of this law is it's coming from a place where people just don't believe that they think gay is a choice. That's the only way that I can understand this, because what are you protecting these kids from?
Right.
They are going to be what they're going to be. And there is no massive campaign to indoctrinate anybody into any kind of cultural lifestyle. If anything, it's the opposite. By forcing this law, it is saying that there is a right way to be, and that it's not the way that the thing we're not talking about. It's not the LGBTQ way. It's the straight way. And that is some people's fundamental beliefs. I get that, but it's wrong because people are not all born straight. I mean, it's until people. That's where the thinking has to go all the way back to that point.
Right.
Because until you stop judging gay people and you stop thinking this is so ridiculous, because some of the writer of this bill literally likened a classroom curriculum around gender identity to trying to indoctrinate young children into a certain lifestyle. That is wildly offensive. And by not teaching kids about everything that is true and does exist out there in the world, by limiting that when it's, healthy and age appropriate, is telling them something else. By omission, by not including LGBTQ plus people in instruction whenever you have their counterparts in the heterosexual world, you're subversively saying these are bad people. Like gay people don't, it's bad. It's not.
All you have to do is think about a classroom of 6-year-olds, and one says, "Oh, my mom and my mommy took me, da da da," and the teacher goes, "Hey, Andrew, we can't talk about that in here." What does that tell every single kid in that room? Just hearing, "Andrew, don't bring up something like that." If I was a kid, I'd be like, "Oh, that must be bad then that he has 2 mommies."
100% as well. And it fuels it because it's a law. It gives ammunition, just like people use the Bible to justify hate. They're going to use this law to justify their hate and their marginalization of some of the already most hurt community. Like, if you have a classroom of 30 kids, at least 3 are statistically going to be gay.
Right.
So if you're not having any discussion, or if you're not talking about the same cultural things in social studies, for example, that you're talking about within a heterosexual context, it's not fair. It is teaching those 3 kids to hate themselves. And
what about gay teachers that are teaching these classes? Like, the feeling of being like, "Oh wow, I can't be myself," and teachers spend how much of their time in the classroom, but then your state and your law is telling you that who you are is basically against the law. That's what it feels like.
The truth is, nobody who supports this law is probably that confused about what they're doing, because what they're doing is trying to promote traditional heterosexual culture and suppress LGBTQ plus culture to the point that they've made it a law. And this is when I was talking about marginalization leads to violence. I can imagine a situation on a playground where, because I remember this for myself, when I was a little kid, feeling so tormented by bullies that would target your sexual orientation. And I was literally too young to even know. And by the way, that's the other thing too. We're not talking about, kids are not, I don't think, in large droves coming and say, let's have a very deep discussion and conversation and create some curriculum all around sex. And I'm 2 or whatever, 2nd grade. That is not happening. What is more happening is that kids have natural conversations all the time, curiosities all the time that pop up about all kinds of different things. And school teachers, I know as a former school teacher, I would want to be prepared to have an answer for that was meaningful and instructive and fair and honest, And now I would be thinking, I don't want to get sued. I got to make sure that I don't, accidentally say anything that is potentially going to lead to, this major financial burden in my life. And by the way, all these schools have to pay for all their legal fees. I mean, this is massive for this state. And all for what? All for what? What was what is this bill addressing? Like, what's something, usually when you have a law, it's because, there's a big problem and we have to address the law.
Now we got to do something, but it just kind of popped up. But it does feel like
culture
that's
wars.
what's
the culture
happening
wars.
all over the country is like,
fully.
Oh my God, now Idaho. Oh my God, now Missouri. Like, I can't keep up with everything going on. And I would, just in like a position of the LGBTQ community, like the adult community, the way that this feels like such a defeat, I can understand a lot of people feeling that way. And what do you think, like, how are we supposed to move forward from this? Or like, how do we still stay optimistic? How do we still think, okay, like, we're still getting better, things are going to change and get better, when states are popping up with laws like this and it feels like we're going backwards?
Well, that's not a rhetorical question, right? No. How do we get ahead?
What do we do? Like, for the LGBT community, we're talking about kids here, and obviously, like, we're concerned for the youth, but like, for everyone, for the adult community, like, I feel really defeated by stuff like this.
Me too. It makes me feel sick. Every time the story came on, and DeSantis, the governor of Florida, he's so defensive. Like, because they think, that you're in the right. The problem is it only can be right if you're coming from a place where there's something wrong with being gay.
Right.
If it is completely normal to be gay as it is to be straight, just luck of the draw, if that is your starting point, which is the truth, none of this would happen.
It wouldn't make any sense.
It wouldn't make any sense. The problem is people start from the false starting point that you are straight, born straight, and that everything else that happens to you somehow changes you or makes you gay. That's false. We know that's false. We know we know that same-sex attraction exists across the entire animal kingdom. There are people born with both sets of genitalia and intersex. So biology, even amongst humans, can't possibly say that your body parts always agree. I mean, we will get into trans stuff.
Yeah. Humans do not exist within the binary, and that's just a fact.
Exactly. And they keep trying to force this this traditional, I would say it's antiquated because and it's dangerous. It hurts people.
100% dangerous.
To marginalize people, to make them feel like they're not part of the club. That is what this whole show was built on, was that we want people, especially if you've ever grown up feeling like you don't belong, to have a place where you belong. So for me, my journey is kind of like, I'm at a point in my life right now where I am no longer apologizing for what I enjoy. And I encourage everybody to be this way. Why should any of us do anything that we do, right? We should really be following our passions and our calling. I'm thinking, really, how do I want to express myself? Like, what is the message here? Well, Anita Doll was born from self-love. Like, she only exists because JD got to a point in his life where he doesn't care. And you know why I don't care? Because I love myself. Like, that's what happens.
Right.
Here's the secret sauce, folks. When you love yourself, trust yourself, know yourself, you no longer have to worry about what anyone else thinks about you, because that is their problem. That is in their head. I do not care. I'm just saying to live your life free of expectation for the joy of your soul. Like, what brings you joy in your soul? This right now brings me joy, and this is what I'm going to pursue, and I don't have any apologies for it. How does a person strengthen themselves to a point where they have because it takes courage, right? To fight the social norms and what's expected of us.
Yeah.
I bet Kelly has some tips.
Yeah, there are definitely, it's definitely hard. So anytime you're going to go against what has been normal for you, whatever that normal is. So we all have a little bit different version of that normal, but anytime you're trying to go against that, there's going to be resistance.
Right.
And so what I encourage people to do is, instead of trying to do things that are in complete resistance, find ways that it can match up. So that voice in you that's saying, but no, I have to save up to be safe for someday. They're trying to do something good for you, even if it's holding you back. It's trying to make sure that you're going to be okay. Right. So instead of fighting and being like, no, just stop it, I'm going to do this thing. Be like, okay, I can do this and still be safe. So I can take this trip and still be safe.
Right. It's not like having to pick one or the other.
And reframing it so that in this case, your parents, who are obviously most love you and are concerned with your security and safety, reframing it in a way that they don't see it as a black and white situation, but rather there is a whole world of gray in between black and white where both things coexist. You can be safe, secure, and be following your truest self and your intentions. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Taylor, you buzzed in with a question.
Taking in from what a lot of you guys are saying is I'm in that right now in my life, I'm trying to find balance between fulfilling people's expectations of me and then fulfilling my expectations of me. So my parents kind of had me a little bit later in my life. That my parents are well into being baby boomers, and my mom will always be like, yeah, when I was 18, I had my first apartment. When I was 25, I had my first kid, and then I had my second apartment. I had a car, and then by the time I was 30, and then 35, and it's just kind of my life doesn't parallel my parents. And you look to your parents because your parents are your for most people, that's your people that you kind of model yourself after, literally. So it's kind of I've been doing that literally my whole entire adult life, and I don't think that it's really helping me. So I'm in my space right now of okay, she's my mom, I love her, she's got what you're saying, your parents love you, they want the best for you, but how do I find the balance in fulfilling their expectations and mine, you know, that's kind of where I am. So
I think what you're saying, I imagine so many, like, even in this space, we can identify with it, and anybody who's watching can identify with that too. Whether it's your parents' expectations or society's expectations or whomever outside of us, trying to find a balance of those things. It's a similar thing that we were talking about with, like, instead of trying to fight it and be like, they want this and I want this. Well, the reasons that your mom says all those things or lays all those things out is because she knows that's what's made her life feel full.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I want the real bottom line is she wants you to be happy. She wants you to be fulfilled. And so it's the same thing. That's what you're looking for too. You just might have two different paths of getting there.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be in opposition. And so sometimes if you're talking about, if that's a for sure expectation, then it might take a difficult conversation. Often I will find that when I have clients and we're talking about this and they go to have the conversation, whomever they thought was holding that expectation is like, no, enjoy your life. Like, it's okay. But we think that they're holding something really tightly when in fact we're the ones holding it tightly.
True.
I'm curious, Kelly, what happened when, several years ago when you decided to take your house fund and spend it on 3 years of travel? Your parents probably had some thoughts about that, huh? What did you do to cross that bridge?
I mean, by that point, to be honest, it was really getting over my own self more than anything else.
We're a little bit older. I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit older, but also because, I mean, I'm so thankful. I grew up with a single mom and money was always really hard growing up. And so I have a lot of money mindset things that I've had to overcome in my adult life, but recognizing it's all there for good. But my mom, in my particular case, this was not the first time I did something really kind of random. So I had left a corporate job to work in a church when I was like 23. And I was like, it was a great job. I had a company car and a expense account and things like, so many people would have killed for that job. So I did that when I was in my early 20s after I had just bought a house then. And then I left all of that to move to LA. And so this was not the first time in my life where I had done something that was unexpected. So I think by that point, my mom was like, all right, she's going to be okay. I don't understand it, but she's going to be okay. But I had to fight my own internal dialogue of like, but this isn't the most responsible thing to do. And what if you regret this later? And what if all that money's gone and you can never have a house? Like, we tend to have extreme thinking.
Oh, yeah, catastrophic thinking.
Yeah, that's right. Catastrophic thinking. But we only think about this. We only think about it usually in the negative sense. We let ourselves totally go down that road, but we don't let ourselves go down the road of if everything worked out perfectly.
Right. We should try to see if this this Guardians of the Galaxy piece works, because I really want people to hear. And also, because of what the work that went into it, not everybody will appreciate this, but there's a program called After Effects, which is, I was so impressed when you did this. Like, it's so obvious to me that you love Marvel because you put your heart and soul into this piece. It's one of the favorite things.
And you understand it.
Yeah.
You worked with it.
I just like creating. That's the thing. Is at the end of the day, I just like wanted to make something cool. Yeah.
We did.
It happened to be Marvel.
We did to keep up the good level after you left, but it was never quite the same.
Oh,
it was never. No disrespect to my other editors because they were all fantastic, but there was something special about the alchemy between us. But let's take a look at this other piece that we both love, and God willing, this audio works. 3, 2, 1.
What Andy Lanning and Dan Abnett did with their run of Guardians is definitely the seed of what inspired this movie. But at the same time, I think that the film world, is an easier place for fans to digest the Marvel cosmic side of things.
So here we are, a thief, an assassin, a maniac, 2 thugs.
We're the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm sitting here today with the man behind the Guardians of the Galaxy, director James Gunn. He both wrote and made the film. Thank you so much for joining us in Hollywood.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
A lot of the people will have just seen the film, and one of the things that's definitely gonna stand out for them is the writing.
I started as a screenwriter in which I would write movies for other people, and it was always a very, very frustrating experience. There actually aren't too many happy writers in Hollywood. They might be happy because they're making money. They usually aren't that happy because they're seeing a director take their work and turn it into something other than what they initially, envisioned. I really do think that my sort of spiritual father is Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was the movie that I saw as a kid, and it wasn't that I wanted to make a movie like
Oh, Mariah, I love how you put yourself in the middle. That looks so good.
I love this so much. Well, I was thinking about what I wanted to say, Mariah. And first of all, of course, like, ModPod is so near and dear to both Tessa and I, and we just love you guys both so much. And, Mariah, I was thinking about, like, the first day when we met and how it felt like, first of all, the fact that you're like, we have a mutual friend. I was like, what? This is so random. It's like, I literally just met you for the first time.
Yeah.
And now, not only is it a mutual friend that I know, but somebody who's been on a retreat, like full on. I know her mom did a full on training with me, like a full on person that is a close person. And the minute that she said that we had this mutual friend, I knew that Mariah was a special person. I was like, oh, and obviously just meeting her, she's a very special person. But Mariah, I've seen you from that first moment when we first met, when you first started at ModPod, and you've always been so open and so into learning. And I've seen the evolution of you learning how to do all of these technical things, and just your level of openness and dedication and determination and showing up is truly inspiring. Like, it really, truly is. To me, and I love JD so much, and I feel so good knowing that he has somebody like you in his life, and vice versa. I'm sure it's you guys are definitely a sweet pair, and it definitely reminds me of me and Tessa. And I'm just I always feel a little bit weird when people are like, say that they're proud of you, because it feels a little bit like, I don't know, I have a separate feeling about it, but I am very proud of you. I'm proud to know you. You're so wise beyond your years, and I'm really inspired by your tenacity and your ability to just continue to show up and do your very special. And you're definitely the solid foundation to what is being created right now. So happy birthday. Aww. I hope that is just the beginning of something truly special. And I'm so grateful to know you.
Oh my gosh. I'm getting emotional.
Yay, Rosie.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness.
For anybody that doesn't know, Mariah is so reserved. Like, she's a reserved person. She's a very talented person. When she does choose to share her magic with you, it's beautiful, but this is probably painful for you, right? Like, having all eyes on you.
I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Oh, good. Well, then how do you respond to Miss Tessa and Rosie?
I think I'm just kind of at a loss for words. I feel very lucky, and I mean, just being surprised by all of this, and then all these nice words that everyone is saying. I'm just overwhelmed in a really good way. Overwhelmed.
Mariah, there's another surprise waiting for you in the Zoom waiting room.
Zoom people waiting.
There's more people. She's got to resize these boxes.
I know. Give me a minute.
I feel so. We should. You know what? While we resize. Go ahead.
While I interrupt, I am going to jump off because I have to go teach this other class now. But I'm sorry I'm going to miss this. Please record it so I can watch it.
Go back and watch
Happy birthday. And I love you guys all so much, Mariah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rosie Acosta, buy her book, Radically Loved. Yay!
Oh my God, JD, I love you.
I literally have a collection of Radically Loved.
Hey, my mom actually finished. She's so happy. She wants to talk to you about it.
Books stacked in my room.
Anita, give her my best. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Rosie. We love you. Bye, Tessa. Yay! I love it. Our little parade of love coming through today. And while Mariah sizes up our next guest, why don't we go to Quincy? Because you know Quincy.
Hello.
Hi, Quincy.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me back.
You're going to be back a lot. I can
really?
tell. Yeah. Anytime Mariah gives her stamp of approval to someone. They get fast tracked right to the inner circle.
Inner circle. Love to
Yes.
see it.
So you're right there in the inner circle. Here's your inner circle music. Exactly.
Ooh, I see what
because
you're
in
saying.
this circle we make money.
I like to make
honey.
money.
Just kidding. But seriously, we have sponsorship available. Let us know.
There's 2 of you.
So let's hear it, Spency. I told you to be prepared. People are wait. I do also
excited.
want to see Mariah's reaction when people pop in the room. Look
She
at
just
this
popped in, but I'm trying to grab her really fast.
Yay!
I'm just gonna frame her up.
Look who it
Oh, I'm so excited. This is a person I haven't met yet.
This is.
You're so happy. I'm so happy. I need more of these.
Yeah.
The one and only.
Someone's just arrived in the party room. Who could it be?
She's like, what am I doing?
Look how cute. Oh my gosh, she's just as cute as you. No wonder you're friends.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to go fast.
You're doing great. And also on sick day. This must be Kaylee.
This is the one and only.
Yay, ladies and gentlemen, Mariah's best friend from the Pacific Northwest, Kaylee.
Big one applause for Kaylee.
All right, Kaylee.
Oh my gosh. Hi.
Hi, I
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Are you in class?
The children are gone.
I love it. Kaylee, tell everybody who you are.
I'm Kaylee. I am Mariah's best friend.
Mm-hmm. Best friend.
And that's all that matters.
Best non-work friend.
All that matters.
Yeah.
Kaylee's my twin flame.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, Angelica will be here soon, and she'll know exactly what twin flame is. So, Kaylee, tell us about your relationship with Mariah. Where are you calling in from today, and why is Mariah so incredible to you? Unless she's not, tell us the truth. Just kidding.
From second grade here in
Second grade.
I met Mariah 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Trying out for the cheer team in high school. I have too many words for this girl.
Aww.
We met when we were like in 8th grade too. We were 14. Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What was Mariah like at
ladies.
14?
And after we met and established a friendship, we actually found out that her dad and my parents used to like rage together.
Yeah. They were party
That's my
friends back in
favorite
the day.
So this friendship was just meant to be.
They like
Your dad used to rage?
oh.
Really?
Joe Rad.
Joe
Rad?
Rad. I can't wait.
Oh yeah, Joe Rad and her parents like went to Shasta together, boat parties.
Really?
Yeah, and when we were in high school, we dug through all their home videos and saw some really disturbing things.
Love that. Peak high school, right? Peak high school.
Yeah, it was fun. We were like, turn it off.
Just in case we don't know the guest list today, we better save those crazy things for some other show. Yeah. So you happened to be, you and Kaylee became friends and just coincidentally found out that each of your parents, they used to also be friends.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of a crazy, small, cool world.
know.
Oh, she's got to
Teacher
deal with the
Kaylee.
second graders. Get those kids in class. Now,
I was gonna say, like, I was thinking of who's gonna surprise me on Zoom, and I'm pretty sure Kaylee's at school, so.
she still
I love
still
that
made
she's
time
still-
for you. I
she's
love
That
it.
still
was a
zooming in.
surprise, Mariah. I told you there was more.
There's so many
I
surprises.
love it. She's, yeah, I feel like when you're growing up, you don't know how you can have like really intense platonic relationships with people that are like, you just love them so much in such a platonic way, and that's Kaylee. She's like my sister.
That's sweet.
What's she doing?
So it looks like Kaylee is dealing with her career as a second grade school teacher.
Yeah.
So we will move back to the room here.
She's back.
Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. You and Mariah are both so adorable. I love that your little faces are side by side there. Aw. So I did ask everybody to come prepared with a Mariah story.
Oh, gosh.
Do you have a Mariah story you want to share, Kaylee?
Oh, does she?
Oh, me first? Did everyone else already go?
Oh, are you
Yeah.
going to be here for a while? We weren't.
I'll be here.
Oh, okay. If you're going to be here for a
Alright.
while, we'll have you on for a while. Okay. I'm not sure when people, because it's 2:00 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. How long can people zoom in for?
You
really?
never know.
You never know. I'm like, these kids, they could have emergencies. They could have a Stinky butt. I don't know. Second grade.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Second grade was the
Outta
first.
here.
I
I'm
don't know
done
if
for
you
the
remember
day.
this, Mom, but Mrs. Bates, my second grade teacher, first time I ever got
Mrs.
detention
Bates.
for talking.
Dang.
Go figure. That was a foreshadow. I was mortified. I thought I was going to die. I was one of those kids that loved school. Mariah, were you somebody who loved school, or were you like trying to always to not be at school?
Why are you laughing, Quincy?
Oh, I love it. By the way, Quincy went to school with Mariah. Quincy, turn that mic
So we
down so
all-
you're right, talking right into it like this.
Yeah, Quincy, Kaylee, and I all
There you
met
go.
freshman year of high school. So
you're friends with this one too?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wait, are you Are you part of the five?
Yeah.
Is she
She's part of the
I
five.
got the whole scoop last Fridays after
the five.
hours.
So I heard.
That was quite a show.
We're the three now.
Oh.
With Atticus too.
Way to keep the majority, girl.
He's joining.
Oh
in.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I love it. I own 51% of this company. And I am about, that's a RuPaul line. But okay, so what you told us last week was so incredible, Kaylee. I feel like the world got the whole, like a part of the scoop, not the whole scoop, but part of the scoop of the crazy antics that go on up there in the Pacific Northwest. Portland education had no idea that Quincy, Kaylee, and Mariah were on the rise. And then those other two that we kicked to the side. We don't even know their names. Genuinely, I don't know their names. I'm going to do this for Mariah because I know she
Can you
loves
imagine
it.
if they were watching?
I know it'd be horrible.
It'd be so funny.
If anybody here doesn't know, Mariah, Quincy, and Kaylee obviously all grew up a little bit together and went to high school together, and we're all dear friends, right?
Yep.
By the way, in the crowd right now, Kaylee, do you know Atticus, Quincy's new friend? He's Kaylee 2.0. And then there's Gina. There's Anita. Anita Man over there. If you know any men, let us know. That's my mom. And then intern Taylor. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Taylor
So
needs to be in it.
everybody's friends now, so we could hear a little of the antics, some of the stories. Let's talk about your high school experience, Quincy.
Okay, should I tell a story?
Yeah, I think that would be
I'm
great.
gonna tell the was it Mariah, was it homecoming or
Oh
prom?
God, is this embarrassing or?
Oh, I hope that there's assets.
I also,
You're like, no assets.
So I hope Maria's not listening. I'm kidding.
I'm like, wait, what are you gonna talk
I'm gonna
about?
tell
Tell me
her-
before.
Mama Maria's definitely listening.
The car.
Oh, but Maria knows everything.
Oh, Maria
so
knows everything. It's okay.
There's nothing secret
for,
from her.
For those that don't know, Maria is Mariah's
She
mom.
knows it all.
So
She
Maria
knows.
and Mariah.
Oh.
Imagine that during planning a surprise party. Because a couple of times I sent stuff to Maria thinking I was sending it to Mariah.
So I think it was either It's fine. It's not. This is not bad.
Okay.
But no, it's not bad.
Come on.
It's just great because it involves all of us.
Are you talking about?
The-
Okay.
So
junior year homecoming.
yeah, I think it was junior homecoming.
All right, let's start this match.
We were
That's not a good year. It was not a good time.
I thought that was. I think it's a good story to tell. I think it's funny. It involves all of our parents too. No, so homecoming. Oh no,
Let's just say dances weren't my thing,
Dances
and so
weren't
they
my-
kind of pushed me over the edge a little bit. I kind of went a little.
Yeah, I feel like it was like getting to Mariah to go to a dance was a push. We got her to go to the dance.
It was.
And then after the dance, we decided that we were going to,
Hotbox
a car, an unknown.
You guys
car.
are going to have to describe what hotboxing is for my mom.
Hotbox is when you close all the windows of a car and you like smoke continuously until it becomes smoky in the car.
Marijuana,
and then
Mom.
You
Cannabis.
get high from smoking, but also
God's
the contact
medicine.
high as well.
So, Mom, you wouldn't even have to smoke. You could just be,
You could just
in,
be
the
in the
car.
car. You could just be in the car.
And you would boop, pop out, and you'd be like Mariah.
Kaylee wasn't there though.
Kaylee wasn't there, but it gets fun when Kaylee's there.
Oh, I love this.
So then
I feel like Kaylee and I are both like stressed over this story.
I was planning this one.
I feel like this story is going to be magical. I
it's
really
great.
do.
It's great.
I
So
need to tell my therapist this story.
I know, right?
Me too.
Hey,
Same, it's
someone's in the
triggering.
waiting room. It's Kaylee's therapist.
Oh my God, can
Hey,
you
let that-
Surprise therapy session.
Surprise therapy session. So yeah, we get to Mariah's house, and we smell like skunks, and we enter into the house.
No, it
and-
was like out on the street before we even walked in.
Oh yeah, it was bad. They could smell us coming.
I mean, if you hotbox for a while, I imagine that condensed smoke inside the car.
Like when you opened the door, it was like
It's like,
it was
"Ooh."
like
Like the mystery van from
yeah,
Scooby-Doo.
out the side.
Somehow, people thought that there was a party at Mariah's house.
Oh.
And got Mariah's
Somehow.
address.
Somehow.
I didn't do that.
I did not do that. Trust me.
Cut back to that moment. Quincy hired a plane with one of those tails.
sent
just
my address
fly
to
over
everyone.
Portland.
Not sending address.
All of a sudden, our whole class has my address.
This is not me. I won't say. I thought it was other folks. Other people that should not be named. But
I think yeah.
And there were all these people that we didn't hang out with at our random
house party that you didn't plan.
But the parents were not too happy about that.
We're not super happy.
But I know what state of mind you were in, which was like, all right.
And there were one or two of us, not me or Quincy or Kaylee, but some other people there that were way over the top, to the point of where parents were called and had to come pick up. And,
let's just say we got in a lot of trouble.
You know, you guys were way cooler in high school than I was. Just so you know, I didn't ever have any parties at the retirement home that I grew up in. Although I could have.
Portland is like going to high school in Portland's different.
Yeah, it's a whole different beast.
I don't know. It's just
I'm sorry for the triggering story, everyone.
I thought it was great. I'm not triggered. I'm disappointed I didn't live life a little fuller.
Like we didn't go into it too much.
No, okay. I tried to leave it, you know.
So this was a spontaneous party that popped up at Mariah's house.
We showed up after the hot box and there was people there.
At your house?
Yeah.
Before you?
With my mom, my dad, Kaylee's
your
mom,
parents
Kaylee's
were all
dad.
there.
So yeah. We had the beginning. Wait, did we have the
Is your mom like a regular mom? Like a cool mom?
No, she was pretty
awesome.
She's cool.
She's a pretty cool mom.
She's understanding, but she's like, respect me.
She's like, honey, why aren't you home and why are all these people showing up?
Exactly.
No, I got a call. She's like, there's people here. And I'm like, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Because your high asses called them all. I know who called them. It's this one right here. This is by the
house. And all the parents are coming up to me, Kaylee, who are these people?
Yeah, because all the parents at the like pre,
we had like a
the
pre-party,
photo, you know, like the photos, the dinner, like all that stuff.
Right.
Was like the pre-part, and all the parents stayed. So by the time we got back, they were still, most of them were there.
Well, that's nice. It was a group party then. Oh no, it wasn't nice.
Wow.
The face that you just made.
More parents to be mad.
The parent to child ratio was too great.
Can you imagine being 16 again? Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
Gosh, you were 16, having house parties.
Well, it wasn't like I feel like house parties a little extravagant. It wasn't that many people.
It was a spontaneous cannabis-induced.
We did more like kickbacks. Kickbacks was more like what we would do at my house. Would be like a kickback kind of thing. Yeah, but my house was a spot.
You kiki. That's what we say. Kiki.
Yeah, my house was a spot.
Have a little kiki.
My parents are cool, but it's like a respect factor.
Totally, that was
like if we respect them and they're cool.
Drag queens, let's see. For anybody who doesn't get it,
yes,
drag queen does not mean that you are. Well, I guess in the process of performance, you are technically cross-dressing, but I think people mix that up all the time, like a desire to dress in the other person's clothes in your regular life versus specifically for a performance.
Yes, like Peppermint is a trans woman.
Yes, exactly.
Who on her first season of Drag Race was not trans. She was a male performing.
Right. Well, she was, but she wasn't identifying
but she wasn't
that
out.
way.
She wasn't identifying. Came out on the show.
Right.
Is now a trans woman who does drag.
Right.
But then people like Bob and.
But in her regular, that's like Kylie Sonique Love. Yeah, like they were. But that's what's weird about that is I wouldn't consider that anything other than a woman dressing like a woman.
No.
Because they're trans women are women.
Yes, exactly.
What am I thinking of then? Someone said something recently. I'm like, that's not right. It's transvestism. That's what it is.
Yes,
that
they're
word, transvestite,
No.
not transsexual. That's two different things.
Yes.
Transvestite technically is, I guess, someone who wears the clothing of the other gender.
In their daily life.
Or the other sex, the normal, yeah.
Yes.
But is not what a drag queen is, because a drag queen is like, you know, it's like saying that the person who dresses up as Tigger to work at Disneyland is a cross animal dresser or something. They're not. They're just performing in a certain outfit.
No. And like Trixie and Katya will make fun of her. Like, we're just a bunch of cross dressers hanging out.
Men,
like, so it's
a man in a dress and a wig. And boy, I'll tell you, it sets the world on fire.
It's incredible.
Who knew? This, I know people will say this. One of my fascinations with it is that there's been this like buried sort of performer inside of me like my whole life that's gotten to like peek out during like being an entertainment reporter and a producer in Hollywood and doing the things I've done, but it's never really got to shine until like, because there's no like I mean, let's be honest, I'm not going to suddenly become a great singer or a great actor, or I mean, maybe I could try to go to acting lessons, but I've been told it's not great, or a supermodel or a, did I already say singer? Anyway, there's not going to be like, I'm not going to suddenly be like the front man for a rock band.
Right.
So what art form could I do in this chapter in my life in a meaningful way where, because, you know, like I love a good hobby, but I also like to get paid. So like, that's it. Like that's yet another reason to, that I've found that I've become so interested in this as an art form and as a hustle. And you're a school teacher, right? So you're all about education. So if you are, what grade do you teach?
I teach second grade.
And how old are kids in second grade? 7?
7 and 8. 7
and 8. Okay. So this is going to be, I'm so glad we have a teacher in the house today for some of these stories. When it comes to something like Ukraine, or like how serious a topic that is, how do you approach that? Because kids always have questions.
Yeah, I think it's something that's really important to talk about. And I think if I've learned anything, this is only my second year with a full-time classroom, but something that's really intimidating as a teacher is you have all of this curriculum that you feel like you have to pack in every single day. Otherwise, like, your kids are missing out on very valuable academic
that was our
lessons.
cleansing Zen waterfall. It always happens here at GGT, just to remind us that we're the river, not the rock.
So when important things in the world are happening like this, you have to allow yourself the space to take a pause on whatever those other like set curriculums are and make space in the room to talk about these important things, because they have questions. They want to know. And I have kids that will just like blurt things out about it. Like, oh yeah, there's a war happening. And like,
sure.
And it's important that they know the facts. So I actually work in a district that has been really, really good about like providing us resources and things like that. So
even on something as immediate as so just out of curiosity, what are some of the tips that they say? So when teaching a younger person about this, because you have to speak about it in a certain way.
Yeah. The resources I receive are ones that can be used from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. So obviously the way a 12th grade social studies teacher would teach this is much different than how I would as a second grade teacher. But the district will send us like slideshows or things like that have already been kind of adapted so that you can provide this information to the kids. And for me, I just take the approach of like, it's a really scary topic to bring up and could make kids nervous. So being honest about that and letting them know like, this is something really scary that's going on in people's lives right now. And it's important that we understand what's happening and how we can help, and just be open to questions, because at the end of the day, that's how they learn. Is I could stand up there and talk at them and show them this slideshow and tell them all the things that are happening, but where their learning is really happening is when they're raising questions and raising hands and being like, well, what happens when, or is this going to happen to us? Like, those are the kind of questions that they have.
First of all, thank you. I feel like saying this to every teacher out there right now. Thank you for your service, because you are woefully underappreciated and underpaid for one of the most critical jobs that exist in society. You're teaching the future, Americans that are going to be leading us through all of whatever we're going through. I genuinely feel like teachers. I was a school teacher for a couple of years, 6th grade back in early 2000s, and my experience of teachers is they're just trying to do the best by the children. They're really trying to give them the best tools they can without influencing their politics and doing all this stuff. So I really think that sometimes you find the kids of like the teachers that are, it's scary, but the bravest ones that are actually bringing up this stuff end up being the most evolved. Like sometimes, like I was listening to an NPR report this weekend, and this professional teachers were on talking about the right way to do it. It's just about like eliminating the bad guys, focusing on the helpers, not talking about evil in the world, not talking about things that are going to give kids nightmares, but rather talking, depending on their age group, but talking about what is, the humanity around the situation.
Yeah, talking about empathy, talking about ways that we can help, like putting ourselves in other people's shoes. That's always the approach I kind of try to take, because with little ones, they are going to get scared and they're going to feel nervous, and they're going to wonder if this is going to happen to them and what's going to happen to our world and our country. So exactly like you said, focusing on providing them with the facts, but then taking the route of, well, here's what we can do to help, or like, how do you think these people are feeling? And when you feel that way, what's something like that makes you feel better?
Right. So coping skills.
Yeah.
It's a lesson on coping skills. It's so important. And I'm just so grateful to the Teachers of America for doing this. And really, it's a big job. It is a big job. People come in with so many different kinds of questions. And then now, on top of all that, you have to worry that parents are going to sue you for what comes out of your mouth.
Have you had any parents like come to you and be upset?
I haven't actually, which I mean is nice because like every day in February we talked about like a different historical Black figure. Every day this month we're talking about a different historical woman figure. We've been talking about Ukraine. Like what we talk about important,
what's going on in the world?
Like news topics in our class, and I very easily could have parents that are outraged by it. But I also am in a district where, like I said, like they're sending me these resources and they're talking about how you can introduce these topics in your classroom in a good way, a non-controversial way. So I know if that were to happen, they'd have my back. But.
Right.
Usually when you're looking for the way to discuss something healthily rather than just avoiding it, you're in the right path. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're looking for a place to feel warm, welcome, and like you belong, you found it. Woo. Joining me is Mariah. Her camera's not working today, but usually you can see her gorgeous face over there in engineering.
And I'm just like thriving.
I know. You're like, you're so participating today. I'm starting to think maybe this camera broke for a reason. Maybe we just like let you get because not everybody's as comfortable on camera as us hams. We hams, us hams. Sorry, Mrs. Reeb. Every time I think about my English teacher, like, am I saying this right? So we have some big updates here.
Yeah.
So we've always said this from the very beginning. Gals, Gays, and Days, this show that we're doing, this live stream, podcast, Twitch, TV, YouTube enterprise, it's always been meant to be at least in the beginning right now, an effort in exploration, experimentation, and discovery. Mm-hmm. Like we are not giving ourselves hard, fast rules about what it is and what it's going to be. In the very first days back in February, we talked about several segments we were doing. Father School, as I was going to bring on guests from the world of adoption and surrogacy as on my path to becoming potentially a single gay dad or married gay dad. We'll see how that goes. Call me George. And then, she's a total B, our segment with Mariah and talking about bisexuality and on that sort of, and we're going to do that. Taboo, our segments. But something that has emerged is really, in order to get 6 hours of content going a week here, it really needs to be a work in passion. Mm-hmm. And what is it that is going to drive us? What makes us want to work on the weekends? Well, I will tell you. This weekend, I was working all weekend on one thing, and one thing only. My eyebrows. Oh my God, no, don't show. Okay, if you're watching the podcast, this is this is a little if you're watching
I love this photo. I think it's such a good one.
So here was my concept. So if you're looking at screen right now, you are seeing JD in drag as a judge. Black wig, judge's robe. Judge Judy meets like a sexy squirrel. I'm in black pantyhose. Like basically the point is drag, right? Drag. Why? What is it? What is going on? Anybody who knows me, I'm 45 years old. This is not the story you hear all the time of someone popping out of the womb being like, I want to be a drag queen, or, God bless Aquaria and Crystal Versace and all the young drag queens that knew like this is what I want to do and grew up in a time when RuPaul was kind of making it an okay thing to do. We didn't all grow up that way.
Right.
Some of us had to find the art form later. And I do very much think of it as an art form. Like there is an expression, there's something happening within me in this world of drag performance that is really, I got to talk about it. That's what this next segment is about. I want to talk about my evolution into becoming a performance artist, what we have planned coming up, because the journalist in me is never going to go away. I like media. I like the chance to tell stories. I love storytelling. I love this. But I'm also really into dressing up like a woman. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Oh, the applause. We worry. I don't know if our sound effects are going out to the world, but if they are, you're hearing applause. Basically, I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with me because it deserves a moment. Like, I think it deserves, we're going to see some changes here at GGT, especially in terms of the Tuesday versus Friday show, which we'll talk about here in a second. But I want to explain why it's happening. So I have 3 theories as to why I am really loving drag. But before I get into those, I want to start off by showing a little clip of what if you missed Friday's show. Friday was April 1st, April Fool's Day. We had a little bit of fun, and you saw Anita Doll Darling was introduced. Anita Doll Darling is my drag persona. She filled in for me last Friday. It was April Fool's Day. We did like about an hour and a half of her in character, which was really hard for me, by the way, because being in character and thinking of all these production elements and all the story points, like, it's tough. But then when we switched and I was myself as her, it was great. But the reason we did everything in drag on Friday, the reason I'm introducing Anita Doll Darling as a character is because the segment How to Build a Queen has grown into something more, and we are now developing a drag character named Anita Doll Darling, and we are doing everything for her that we would do for any star on the rise, giving her a show, a platform, photo ops, branding and marketing tools. She is a pistol. We're learning her personality. So literally yesterday, Rachel, shout out to Rachel Anderson, our in-house hair and makeup artist, and she really is an artist here. She and I on Friday had so much fun creating Anita Doll. I mean, I was initially just going to do because we did a lesson in eyelashes before for the segment,
right,
How to Build a Queen. So I thought maybe we would do a wig segment or something, but we just went for it. And we completely created this drag character. And every time I do it, it just sort of this is an art form. And it's hard to explain because I'm not somebody who wants to dress in women's clothing on the daily.
Right.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
They say if you're not in pain, you're not in drag. And that's probably true for women too.
Yeah.
If you're not, ask any woman, if you're red carpet ready, are you in pain? And she will likely say, oh, hell yeah. Everything hurts. I'm cinched. My feet hurt. It's tight. There's body shape. There's a lot of stuff going on to make you beautiful. True for drag queens as well. And so I wanted to tell my drag story a little bit, the journey that I've been on. Because I'm having a lot of fun with it and it's not going away. And we're actually going to double down on it and lean in. And so, but first I want to start with this clip of me. What's the first one we have, Mariah?
You surprising me.
Yeah. Okay. So the
Anita Doll.
This was the thing that finally made me realize this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, the concept on Friday for, April Fool's Day was that I was going to trick Mariah into thinking me, JD, boy, that's why I'm wearing a tie, is not available to host the show, but I've got a fill-in replacement. And this is how that went. Mariah?
Yeah?
I'm not feeling as good as I thought I was about this. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the show. But I'm going to have a fill-in host. Is that okay?
Is it someone that I think maybe?
I'm Anita.
Oh.
Anita Doll. Is this the studio where I go? Is this the right place?
You look so good. Oh my god.
Oh, this does look like the right place. I believe it's here. Yeah, so do I have to sit on a stool or something? JD said that I could fill in for him and that I would come naturally to me. Hello, darling. Mwah, mwah. Air kisses, air kisses. So, I do love your little place here. It's delightful. So, if you are watching the video, you're seeing Anita Doll Darling making her way down in a very cute little aspen ski outfit, hot pink leopard print, full body catsuit with hood, stilettos, and pink hair down to her hips. Boobs for days, hips for days.
Just freaking out.
I have so many things to show you, everybody, today in terms of revealing how this went down. But I want to explain that. I love it. I love your reaction.
I was like, I could not. I just.
You were like, you're so beautiful. It was so sweet, Mariah. Like, you give me so much confidence. The entire goal here is to give just a regular space to people who feel like they want to belong, they want to party, belong. That is the word that we're going to use a lot here, because here at ModPod Studio and at Gals, Gays, and Days, you absolutely belong.